and welcome to Lidi's Book Club podcast. I'm Lidi Bureau and I'm so happy you're here. As you might have guessed by my accent, English is not my first language, and this is why I created this book club and this podcast. I want to show you that even if you're not a native speaker, you can start reading in English or create a podcast. So in this podcast, obviously I'm going to talk about books, but also I will be sharing with you my reading and learning journey in English. But most importantly, I want to share with you the tips that helped me level up my reading experience, no matter if you are a beginner or an advanced. Yes, even if you are a beginner, you can read books in English. And for that, I have a free guide that will show you exactly how to become a confident reader in English in 6 simple steps. Grab the guide from the link in the description. Hi, lovely English reader, and welcome to episode 3 of this podcast. And today we're going to talk about Pamela Redmond and the book Younger and how it became a hit TV series. I'm talking about this book today because it is the first book club course that I have created, and Pamela Redmond is a New York Times best-selling author. And because she published more than 20 works of fiction, and her writings are mainly about women and women getting older. And what is very interesting with her journey as an author and as a successful author is that roughly at the same time she published her first book, she got divorced, and she moved to LA, and that everything at the age of 50. I wanted to share that because it shows really that no matter how old you are, you can always reinvent yourself and show that you can always change the course of your life and that anything can happen as well, and no matter how old you are. And it was really interesting to read that right from the beginning, she believed that it would be a great idea for a TV series. So the book is not autobiographical, but it really is inspired by some of her own experience, because she was a mother living in the suburb of New York in New Jersey, and she had friends who experienced the rejections of finding work after having kids. And the funny story as well is that apparently some of her friends were actually mistaken for younger women when they were going out in New York. So this book is not autobiographical, but it was inspired by other people's lives and her close friends' experiences. So it really reflects the society at that time, because the book was released in 2005, the first edition. So this is the second edition of the book. And the first one was published in 2005. So it took roughly 10 years between the publishing, the first release of the first edition, and when they started creating the TV series. And this second edition of the book was released in 2019. So this is the reason why you have now the actress on the cover of that book. So from our interview at the back of the book, we can read that she's never been involved in the process of the making of the TV series, but she loves it. And she completely trusted Darren Star, which is the creator and producer of many TV series that I'm going to talk about in a second. So she trusted him and she was not disappointed. So in 2020, she actually released a sequel of that book called Older. So if you're interested, you can grab the book by the link in the description. So from the first and the second edition, they made some little updates in terms of the timeline and the type of devices that they use. So obviously, since 2005, a lot in terms of technology have changed, and they adapted those elements and some aspects of cultural references to make it more relevant to the readers. Also in the second edition, they have added the foreword of Darren Star, which is the producer of the series. And I actually discovered that he is the producer of so many shows that I love. And you have, for example, he's the creator of Beverly Hills in the 80s. If you are a 1990 child, then you will know about Beverly Hills or Melrose Place. So those TV shows were so popular and had such success. These TV shows, and also Sex and the City, of course, the reference, and Younger after that. And more recently, he has released Emily in Paris, that everybody knows now. So this producer is really into female characters, and is really able to get the actual societal changes and the generations as well, is able to put in on screen a reflect of the society. And despite that, those theories can be a little bit glossy, they have a much more profound message, such as this book. So in the foreword, he's saying that he immediately fell in love with the story, and that he fell completely in love with the story, first because it's based in New York, and it's also about publishing, the publishing world. And I like the fact that it's also a book that talks about books as well, because there are lots of references, literary references, and if you love books, this is great. And from this book, he was able to see that it raises a lot of societal questions, such as how to stay relevant in a culture that values youth, how to bridge the gap between generations and learn from one another. So I will tell you a little bit more about the story if you don't know already about the book. But that's also a dynamic that it's very interesting to see in the TV series, but also to read in the book, of course. Also, another question is that what if we were able to relive our 20s? Would we do it better from the perspective of our 40s, or in our 30s? Would we do anything better or not? Another question that is very central is how we are defined by our age and our experiences. So according to Darren Star, the book was visionary at the time, because as I was saying, this book was published in 2005. And it's really an invitation to explore ageism as well, and the millennial culture, And what value do we give to getting older? Is it always bad to get older, or actually can it be our strength instead? So as you might have guessed from the different information that I've just given you, this book is about a woman in her 40s who just got divorced, and she decides to go back to work in the publishing industry. And she finds it very difficult to get hired as a 40-year-old woman. And she finds herself having to fake her age and pretend to be younger to try to get a job. So as glossy and frivolous it may seem, there are so many layers that this book is approaching, and this is why I picked that book for my first book club course. I wanted to discuss those topics because it's something that people in their 30s or 40s can easily relate to. So I hope that you enjoyed learning about the book and Pamela Redmond, and that it encouraged you to read the book or watch the TV series. Now I want to ask you one question. What if you had to relive your 20s? Would you do anything better? Would you do anything different? Please let me know what you feel about this question in the comments, and I will see you next week for a new episode. Bye bye. If you like this content, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and grab my free guide, The 6 Simple Steps to Start Reading in English. The link is in the description.